found myself and I found peace, even if it's just a piece. Piece together is what I do, and put it right where all of you can see me. Hold it up high, see me hold it up high, like a flag or let it fly. I won't be brought down.
Hi guys, my name is Michelle. I am with Our Lives Moments, and that name came about because I thought that our lives moments are not isolated just to us. It's something that a lot of people experience. Therefore, if we share them and compare notes, we don't necessarily need to go down the same beaten path. So I created the Our Life's Moment platform with thoughts about around it of this is a place where it's going to be a community. I can tell my story and you can pull from my story whatever you need to make your story better, and you can share your story with someone else and do the same. However, I have been negligent of telling my story. I start and I stop because it's scary sometimes telling your story, especially when it's things that you feel you're going to be judged for. So, but I am the example, so I will start to tell my story. But in the whole idea of Our Life's Moments, I reflected on what is actually happening currently in America, in the world. George Floyd death have impacted anyone that has a heart. There's some people with hearts that don't seem to be impacted by it, but for the most part, humanity has been touched by the way this man life was taken. I must tell you, I came to this country like 4 decades ago, and I am reminiscent of the whole idea why my parents brought me to this America, this place where it was the melting pot, a place where anything was possible. This land that just gave and gave to you. Over the years, I haven't felt it much on my own, but I have seen it around me so many times again that it's not the case. But seeing all these young people just pulling together in one unison, on the one accord, for one thing, humanity, in saying, we denounce the way you treated George Floyd and every person that came before him, and we will not sit by idly and ignore it anymore. I think that's an Our Lives moment right there. So I am sure 50 years from now, there will be your great grandchildren reading about this very moment where I believe there's a shift about to happen. Unfortunately, we think we had overcome racism, or some of us think that, racism don't exist, and therefore we turn a blind eye and think, what are they talking about? Mr. Floyd, his death was a total display of a noose around a man's neck. Only thing this one was his knee on him. So it got a little more sophisticated, but remains the same. Taking a life because you could. And America and the world have stood up and say, no more. And I am so excited to be a part of it. I'm so excited to be American at this moment, this very moment, regardless of what the president or anyone else is doing. The people in the street that have been protesting against what is wrong and what is for what's right makes me proud to be an American. I'm sorry for your loss, and this is for the families of every last person that have lost their family member senseless. I have 2 boys. I have 4 kids, but my 2 boys are the ones that seem to weigh heavily on me because Black men seem to always be on the attack. I have a husband. I am concerned about the men in my life being safe, and that shouldn't be the case. And I am prayerful that with what's this movement have formed, that something is going to shift. The racism that Black people face is just not isolated to cops. It's systemic, and it affects a lot of different areas like the media, housing, education, somewhere like the police, hiring, hiring. I can speak on that. Most positions I've been in, I have been in a place where I am able to hire people. My last position, I was the hiring director. I must tell you, I went into a culture that was disguised as the most kindest place ever. But if you didn't fall in line, you kind of felt it. And I felt it because I didn't fall in line. I was different. I was Black, African, American. I was foreigner. I had an accent. I took a job that everybody wanted. I had a lot going after me. But somehow I didn't know that I gauged everyone as racist. Of course, I needed to educate myself on being what it means to be a racist. I realize now that racism could hide behind prejudice. What I mean by that, someone being prejudiced of something could stem deeply from innate racism that was groomed from a child, and they associated better with prejudice than to be a racist. However, I experienced a couple of times where the person I hired might have looked like me or looked Latino, and it was questioned. Where I hired their counterpart and they were white and no one really questioned it. They wait till they messed up and then they might have a little problem with it. But until then, no one questioned it. But soon as you saw someone looking somewhat like me, they had something to say. And I must say, I was of the belief that they were fine with me. So therefore, it wasn't racism. It was more of a prejudice or a bias. And after listening to a couple of speeches, I don't know if I should call them speeches, with Dr. Robin DiAngelo. She wrote on the white fragility. And this is a white woman. I must tell you, I am ignorant to what racism looks like, although I am a Black woman. So based on her research, I must tell you the story. So I am hiring and I have a bunch of interviews set up. I just finished one interview and there's a gentleman waiting on me to do my second interview. But I always took like a 5-10 minutes break between to get my paperwork in order. And as I am getting my stuff in order, a supervisor came over and she said, "Hey, Michelle, your interview's here." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And she said, "You're not hiring him, are you?" I was kind of taken back by it because if you know me, you probably should not have asked me that question. So I responded like pretty dumbfounded, like, "I haven't interviewed him yet." And she said, "I know, but he doesn't look like he fit in our culture." He doesn't look like he would fit in our culture. What does our culture look like? Well, outside of me, our culture did not represent me at all. It was lily white. So I said to her, "How do I make a determination of hiring someone when I haven't interviewed him?" And then she shifted and said, "Well, as I said, I just thought he might not fit in our culture, but it's up to you to make that decision." I went on to hire the gentleman and he was a great worker, but it was a minimum wage job. Okay, he got paid a little bit more than minimum wage, but a job that is it's so minimum of what he's getting paid, you are snatching away from him. Now, if I'm not sitting across the desk, he's not hired. And that's systemic. Because if I am not there and there's someone who doesn't look like me, who have the empathy to evaluate people on their merit, then they won't be able to take care of their families by earning a honest living. But think about it. He wouldn't have made more than $10 an hour. And that was being snatched away from him by the way he looked. All in the disguise of a culture. Well, I must tell you, our culture is important. And it was important to hire the right person for the job. For instance, I had an interview with an older Black woman and I didn't hire her. She didn't fit in our culture. And here's why she didn't fit in our culture. Our culture was based on servitude, serving the public. And we went beyond and be above. And I normally, when I did my interviews, use the word serve numerous times in our interviews, just over and over to see how comfortable someone was with that word, serve, serve. And I would say 8 out of 10 times they embraced it and was willing to serve. This particular person, this woman, was really agitated by my use of the word. So much so that she asked me why I kept using it. I said, well, that's what we do here. I said, I am a director, and if we're short staffed or if I am walking through the door and I see someone that needs help, I am going to stop and go and help that person because that's the culture we have and that's the culture we encourage. And she's just like, and so not a good fit, not a hire, because I didn't care what her color looked like. She didn't fit our culture. But to look at a man just based on how he looked and say he didn't fit in our culture, gosh, that's just really scary because he would not be able to earn, leaving him without a way to feed his family and putting him in a position that if he was to do anything that was not right, we would not take any ownership of what we have done to make that possible. Now, don't for 1 second think I'm saying anyone that did a crime, it's blame on the person that didn't hire them. I'm saying he could have been hired based on his merit, but you didn't based on his color. I have a confession. I came to this country and my parents taught me work hard and you get what you want. I believed it. And I even believed it much more so because my first job was a temp in Department of Revenue. And when I got there, I was super excited. I'm making, this is like 20 years ago, I'm making like $11 an hour. I am the stuff. Or maybe it was $10, I'm not sure. But it was ridiculously high in comparison to any other job. Like getting a job in the state was the place to be. You were set for life. You worked there until you retire. You got all your benefits. You got your 401k, your retirement. I mean, like, there's no jobs like those anymore, right? So I was like super excited. I got there. There's like the group had, I would say the ratio is 75% white and the other is color. And everyone, we were working and I'm like, I can't wait. I'm going to get a permanent position. I'm going to get permanent. And everyone's like, this is your first time here. You can't get a permanent position. And I was like, why not? I'm working hard. I'm going to get a permanent position. It's like, this is my 4th year here. This is my 3rd year here. I said, why is it taking you so long? And they're like, that's how it works. You come back a couple of years and then they hire you as permanent. Again, based on the story my parents told me, I work hard and I would get what I want. And so I said, and they said, especially you're pregnant, they're not going to hire no pregnant girl permanently. And I was like, really? Well, I needed a permanent job. I needed benefits for my kids. I had a daughter and I was pregnant having another girl. I needed my benefits for them. I wanted a solid job that paid good money. And I must tell you, that was good money because when I get permanent, it would be like $12, $13. That was good money. And this is 20 years ago. So it was great money. So I said, no, I'm getting up. And everyone just like, no. I mean, if I was to go on the energy of the people in the room, I would just not even try because it wasn't even possible based on their stories. So I went into labor on the 6th and had my daughter the 6th of April, 1993. And I spent that, I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the hospital. Saturday and Sunday I took off. I had made prior arrangement for my daughter to be taken care of by a family member. And so Monday, I had plans. I will be back at work. Now I had I would say about maybe a month more before the whole temp was over. On Monday, when they saw me show up, they were flabbergasted. And then guess what? I was one of the permanents and I only been there 4 months. So my idea of work hard and you get what you want was proven In my eyes, meritocracy worked. However, it doesn't really work like that for everyone, especially Black Americans. And here's another thing. I have found that white people separate foreigners from Black Americans. And sometimes we buy into it because I think I have. Not like totally buy in, but I mean, I think in some ways I think I have fed into it. Oh, Michelle, you are so different. Yeah, you're not like Black American, you're Guyanese. Like, that's not a thing. Guyanese is a country. A Guyanese, no, it's not my skin tone, it's not my pigmentation. Um, and it's a country, people there are called Guyanese, but that's not my pigmentation. And they always separate you. And they said, they're not like that. Black Americans are different. Well, I think Black Americans had it a whole lot harder than I have experienced or my parents have experienced it. I think they had it real tough. So if they're having some issues, maybe they're still trying to get over all the issues that were created to keep them in place. So as I see the young people rising up to say no more, I celebrate them. I celebrate the movement, and I say all life matters, but we have to isolate Black lives because that's the one that has been robbed for so many years. So Black lives do matter. They have never been an issue with other lives, like white lives. There's never an issue. So the fact that people say Black lives matter is because Black lives haven't mattered in a lot of white people's eyes. It's always justifiable to kill somebody that is Black. So my thoughts are, I'm glad that those cops were arrested. I'm glad that justice is going to be served. I believe in my heart that it will be. But I am more excited that we won't go back to things as usual, and we will force leadership to change a lot of legislations and laws to, as Al Sharpton said today, take their neck off of Black people and allow us to blossom. I personally haven't felt what most Black Americans have felt. I've been fortunate, but my Black sons that are not Guyanese, that no a white American or a white person could say, oh, you're from Guyana. Don't have that for them to hide behind, to treat them just a little better than the typical African American. So I still have to say, I am happy that there's change happening. And please forgive me, because I have stepped in it and buying into that somewhat. But yeah, we work hard before we come here. Yes, we do work hard. But there's some American people that just work just as hard and they don't get what they're supposed to get because there's someone with their knee on their neck just sucking the life out of them. So I didn't create this platform for anything political or to talk about racism, but I can't help it. It's very current in the sense it's happening. I can't avoid it. I would be negligent to come on here and talk about anything and not address that. So as I see Mr. Floyd's daughter in that loop saying, Dad, you changed the world. Dad, you changed the world. I reflect on my mom. She said, be careful what you say. Words have mold and power, Michelle. I know that little girl did not even know that she had prophesied that her dad would have changed the world. Not the way she probably would have hoped. No, not the way she would have hoped. But nevertheless, he has changed this world. And he will not die in vain. And his legacy will live on forever. So, Mr. George Floyd, I salute you, sir. Thank you, guys. I hope to make a video next. I want to talk about really what I want to talk about. Stuff to do with relationship, dating, marriage, children, culture. That's my forte. This was just unavoidable. I could not talk about it. So I am going to be doing some interviews with single women, married women, just to get some insight on how their relationships and what do we compromise as women to be in a relationship? What are our guides for being in a relation, how we operate in our relationship? How do culture, our home culture, affect our present relationship? So stay tuned. I ask you guys to, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook and on Instagram at Our Lives Moments, and Lives Have a S and Moments Have an S. It's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoy me just spewing my thoughts. Love you guys.